Yeah, baby. All right. So, yeah,
Alright.
hello and welcome to the very first XDBX official film club podcast. The one, the only, the best. Although if it's the only one, then it's also the worst, technically. I am Lime, along with my co-host here, Mr. Con. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, everyone?
Feeling lively as always. So yeah, this is a film podcast. We're talking about films we watch in the film club we have over on the website www.domesticbatterygaming.com. Check it out if you want to watch along with us. So I just thought, since it's the first one, I'll just start off by giving a little taste of what my personal film tastes are, just by saying what my favorite films are. And I've got three. I've got three tied for my favorite films of all time. Sleuth from 1972. It's Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier. It's a great little thriller. King of Comedy, the Scorsese De Niro film, which is just brilliant. It was recently remade as Joker, but that's another story. And what's my other favorite film? Brazil, the Terry Gilliam film, another film with Robert De Niro. So I like Robert De Niro. He's pretty cool. So for now, I'm going to chuck it over to Con. He'll tell you a little bit how the film club works and tell you a little bit about his film tastes. Take it away, man.
All right. Hey, everyone. So, welcome to our first little podcast here.
Yeah.
Hey, man, listen, I'll raise the roof.
We got to get this kicked off with
anytime.
the party feeling, you know?
So, a little bit about the film club. So, basically, what we are doing is asking everyone every month to submit a genre of their choosing, and when we have enough of them, we slap these things on the wheel that we spin.
Everyone loves the wheel.
Everyone loves the wheel. The wheel is nasty, but it's popular, and
it doesn't like us.
It doesn't like us at all. And so that's how we produce our genres, and then from that point, we ask for film nominees in that specific genre, and then we spin the wheel once again, and then we get our film of the month. So basically, we don't ask anyone to give us these long, elaborate reviews. We tend to do that because we just love film, and we just, I can keep going. I mean, I can review and do feel like 3 pages, and most of the time I'm like, okay, this is getting a little too long already. So let me just get to the points that I want to make.
My favorite review that I've read from anyone so far is Spins for Killing of a Sacred Deer. 1 out of 10. It sucks.
My favorite review, I believe, was Smurf when he reviewed one of the most recent films, and it was just so funny. Like every other sentence was hilarious, and we'll talk about that at another time. So basically, you can watch the film. You have the whole entire month to watch it, and then just get on the forum and post whatever you want to say about it, whether you hated it or loved it, and just share your thoughts. That could be just, like I said, a few sentences. There's no wrong review. It's just your opinion. So yeah. I actually enjoy when people, chime in and review with us.
So it's good to get another opinion.
Yeah, I truly enjoy
opinions like assholes. I want to see everyone's. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to agree with that too. For me, my favorite film of all time, I have to say, probably the Shawshank Redemption. It has a lot of special little meaning to me, and that's why I kind of defended it when it was called overrated. Because I'm like, oh man, that's like one of my the film that I can watch and really appreciate, and I've done like a lot of research regarding it, and it's just like I said, it's a personal favorite. But my favorite genre,
because that was a flop when it was first released, right?
Yeah, and one of the reasons was, when people that just pick movies to watch in the cinema at random, a lot of times the titles really have to, have some kind of meaning or clue to what you're going to go watch. And the Shawshank Redemption, first of all, was really hard to say if you never saw the word before. And it just really wasn't... I didn't go see it at the cinema when it came out, but at the same time, I really wasn't into movies or film at the time either. So, and that's just something that I would have picked out of the newspaper anyways to go. Did I just date myself by saying newspaper? But yeah.
What's a newspaper?
What's a newspaper?
You're such
So
a
yeah,
boomer.
we used to, okay, boomer. We used to have to actually go to the newspaper to see what movies were playing. Now we play with the internet, so it's really cool. So my favorite genre is definitely horror. Anything with gore.
It's weird that your favorite genre is horror, but your favorite film is The Shawshank Redemption.
Is a drama, yeah. It is interesting. Like I said, but that's why the Shawshank has like a special meaning that someday, I'll cover those details because they are, somewhat personal. But I appreciate, every genre, honestly. As you may know, musicals is probably my least, but and we're going to end up talking about one of those films that
pretty soon.
Yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. And so please feel free to join us anytime in the film club. It doesn't matter if it's the last 2 weeks of the month or the last day. If you watch the film,
limit. Just have a look at the thread, see what films you've watched, and if you've seen any of them, let us know what you think about them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really fun and it's free, and it's really, again, especially if you are into like all these new movies that are coming out next year. Love to just really get into your excitement about whatever is coming out.
Yeah.
So please feel free to join us at any time.
Free dances.
Yeah,
Wait,
go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say, and if you feel that it's what's limiting you from joining us is, not having the resources to get to those movies, just send me a private message, and we'll try to work something out. So it was the libraries, if you have access to them nearby, they normally have DVDs, and so again, feel free to contact me. We'll work something out. I promise.
Plus, you get all those cheap copies from China, right?
Yes. It may not be the same actors, but they come close. From India. You ever seen those like Superman ripoffs from India?
Those are the best, man. Yeah,
they're great, man. Those things are great. We're gonna have to cover a list of those at one point in the podcast.
All right. So, should we get started?
Yeah. Hell, let me first mention, anybody who knows what this car is from. It's I know that we're covering film, but we don't have every film car in the game, so this right here is from one of my favorite shows growing up. And this is
you giving away bonus points if anyone gets the answer right or anything?
I'm out of a lot of bonus points right now, but I will give you I can raise the roof. I'll raise the roof for your answer. So,
raise the roof and I'll get us started. So we started in February this year, so we've been going pretty much a year now. And this is kind of what this first podcast is about. It's a retrospective look back at all the films we've watched over the last year. There's 12 of them. There's 12 months, even though we started in February. But we'll cover that later. Since we started in February, which is Oscar season, the first genre was Best Picture winners. And the winning film was The French Connection. So you want to go talk about The French Connection for a few minutes?
Let's do that.
All right. So, the first film chosen for the XDBX Film Club was 1971's The French Connection, directed by William Friedkin, who also directed The Exorcist. I'm sure you're pretty familiar with that film, Con.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It stars Gene Hackman, who won a Best Actor Oscar for this film. I should also mention William Friedkin won for Best Director, and the film overall won Best Picture. And it also stars Roy Scheider from Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, who was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, although he's hardly in this film. But that's just... I'll talk about that in a minute. What do you think about The French Connection, Con?
All right. So first, I'm going to point out that I want people to guess who Lime is dressed up as.
You ever pick your feet in Poughkeepsie?
All the time. So you did a pretty great job with this Popeye Doyle outfit, man.
Thanks, man.
I have to say, I'm very impressed, man. Down to the hat, to the tie. That's fantastic. So yeah, the French Connection. So I had heard of the film, all my life. I think that because I started to get into film, more in the year 2000, I really wasn't gravitating to anything in the 70s. I just felt these films were kind of outdated. But The French Connection always just, with Gene Hackman and like you said, Roy, I knew that it was, something probably worth watching. And so I was kind of actually very glad that was like the first film that was chosen.
It is a pretty important film in Hollywood.
It is. And I do touch on that, that I did thank the movie gods for The French Connection, because it was the first R-rated film in the history of the Academy to win Best Picture. And that to me, that was tremendous, because it really opened the door for my genres, which came after that. The directors became more daring, and so I really appreciate the movie for that. But I did enjoy the story. I love that they cover how these really wealthy people really have their hands deep in the cookie jar of trafficking drugs and arms and things. And in this particular film, they were trafficking drugs, and
heroin.
Heroin. Yeah,
this is based on a true case.
On a true story. Yeah, it was a true story. And it's so the film was great. There were a couple things that I didn't appreciate, and I want to mention something that Bees said in his review. Bees really had an issue with the scene in the film where they take away the car. They take apart the car to find the drugs.
Hidden in the side rails or something.
So I'm just going to quote him here in this last few sentences in his review. He wrote, "The criminals show up to reclaim the car, and somehow, in a matter of minutes, the cops put the car back together so perfectly that the criminals don't notice anything out of place. Later, when they go for the drugs, we see that the cops even re-spot welded the panel back on. How is this possible?" That was fantastic, man. I was like, you know what?
Beast is a car guy.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, we need guys like that. So they can say, hey, this was kind of out of place, but it was just I thought it was just a really great movie, pointing at things that happen in real life. And I was really upset at the ending because again, slaps on the wrist for these guys in real life. That's really what they got away with ruining communities and things. So for me, the French Connection is 5 out of 5. It will always be more for the reasons I mentioned about it opening the door for R-rated films. To be respected.
Well, it was it was part of the new Hollywood movement of the late 60s and early 70s, where films sort of went towards more gritty, realistic sort of action, rather than like the classic era of Hollywood, kind of like over the top or melodramatic kind of style, Yeah,
glossy.
Glossy. This is totally the opposite of anything like that. Like the direction, I think most of the film is handheld, which makes it like it's like a documentary. Like you're really in the streets with these people,
Oh yeah, totally. And I live not far from New York City, so those streets. I mean, I recognize the setting, even though now it's a little different, but
probably a bit cleaner now.
Yeah, I totally was there. I mean, I felt that you really were following these guys around, and it was fantastic. I think that for a movie from '71. Oh, we didn't even mention the car. The car chase. That's like
the iconic car chase. It's I love that car chase. What do you think about it? Because a couple of people in the film club said it wasn't that impressive.
Well, thanks to the guys from the film club, I actually did a side-by-side viewing of the bullet chase scene.
Yeah, great film. Bullet with Steve McQueen.
Yeah, and I can say that they both, for me, were just as good, and equal. I think that I kind of liked the French Connections chase scene more because of how they broke the law in real life to shoot it. So that's
knowing that makes it feel more dangerous.
I mean, it just has to. I mean, imagine you as a filmmaker taking that chance.
Oh my God,
Yeah, I mean,
Just don't
I
fuck
think
it
they
up,
would have been,
Gene. Don't crash the car,
yeah,
mate. We don't have a permit.
or hurt anyone. That studio would have
Yeah.
been sued.
Oh
They
my
would have never
god, yeah.
existed after that.
It's like watching that scene. You're not just worried for Popeye. You're worried for Gene. It's like, mate, just easy driving there,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah, yeah.
Don't go
And
crazy, son.
as many pointed out, including Fido, the lowering that camera angle was just tremendous. And that, it really was a thrill ride. I mean, honestly, if you haven't seen that scene, you should definitely look it up, because
Yeah.
that chase scene is really tremendous.
Because honestly, they can't have been going more than like 50 miles an hour through those
Yeah.
streets, But the way it's
Oh,
shot and edited just makes it feel so fast and just really dangerous. It's a great scene.
no, yeah, they definitely sold the illusion. And as you can see, we're standing near the subway map here, because that film is shot in New York City, and it just you definitely should watch it if you're looking
Yeah.
for
A couple of
very
important
classic
scenes involving trains in that film.
Oh yeah.
So if you're a train fan, check this out. More trains in this than Train Spotting.
Oh, you were a fan of heroin trafficking.
Hey, maybe the films are connected. Heroin, trains.
Yeah, no, totally.
We're onto something here, man.
So yeah, I definitely watched The French Connection.
Yeah, it's a positive for me. I think I gave it 9 out of 10 in my review. Classic film.
So I think the only thing I have left to say about that is, Lime, you want to go hide the salami with his wife, or what?
Nah, I'm going to go take my feet in Poughkeepsie. I'll see you later, brother.
Come back here. Yeah, no. You want to play hide the salami with his wife was a line that Buddy Russo says in the film, and it's just so funny, because most people at that time probably never heard that before, that reference.
That was Buddy Russo, the Roy Scheider, right?
Yes, yeah. That's
another thing about this film I liked is how he was, as a supporting actor, he wasn't trying to like upstage, Gene Hackman. To be honest, he's hardly in the film at all, and he hardly does anything, but he's there as a real nice counterpoint to like the madman that is Popeye Doyle,
Yeah, no, they really complemented each other, and like I said, the only thing that for me could have added to the film is at the end when Popeye shoots one of the agents by mistake. Had he accidentally shot Buddy, I think it would have just added and still Buddy would have lived, but just to, oh my God, he should have shot his partner because of his ego and just his drive to catch these guys, and that he's been reckless the whole film, but now he's hurt his partner. I think that's the only way that I would have
over a line there.
Yeah, I think that's the only way they could have really made it even more impressive. But no, I'd definitely would watch it.
Great film. All right, let's move on to the next one, brother.
Yes, let's do that.
All right, we are here at the Strip Club to talk about our second film in the XDBX Film Club, Chicago from 2002. Directed by Rob Marshall, who also directed Memoirs of a Geisha and the recent Mary Poppins sequel, Mary Poppins Returns. And it stars Renee Zellweger, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Richard Gere, and my personal favourite, John C. Reilly. What do you think about Chicago, Con?
Okay, so
here we go.
I guess I first have to start with when I spun this wheel. Okay, when I put all the films on that wheel that day, and I spun it, and I said to myself, it's going to be my luck that Chicago is going to be the film that the wheel picks. And the reason why I say that is because I was dreading having to watch a musical when we spun it for the genres.
Do you not like musicals, Con?
I just never. No, I don't. I don't even like music videos. No. It's just I know I just don't like my stories being stopped for singing and dancing. But again, I appreciate it. I don't hate them. But yeah, when I was like, oh, musicals, I was in shock. My body had an allergic reaction to it.
You broke out in hives. You got a cold flop sweat.
But I watched it, and I can
so
say,
what was your feeling when you hit play?
So
title rolls, first song hit.
Title,
what were you thinking?
Yeah, I was thinking,
You hear that guy go 5, 6, 7, 8.
yeah, I instantly said, "Wow!" It didn't take long for the singing to start, and
It's
but
still a black
I
screen and it starts.
right, but you
Musicals
know,
don't fuck around, man.
no, they don't, man. And but I instantly was, start. Okay, I'm not going. I'm trying to ignore the music, so let me just start to, And I started looking at the scenery and just everything, the costumes, and it was just a really, it was eye candy everywhere. And
It's a gorgeous looking film.
yeah, and so at that point, I wasn't listening to the lyrics until like maybe the second song, and by that time, the movie had got me a little bit like it, had tugged at my shirt, and I was leaning into it a little more because the music, the lyrics, where it was the narrative. It was exposition of what was to come, and I really found that really interesting, and it really got me. It forced me to listen to the songs, and what I thought I was going to end up hating and despising, I ended up really liking.
Well, you said at the start that you didn't like musicals because the story stops for a song and then the story continues again. But that's not the
right.
case. The story is in the
Not,
song for the most part.
exactly, and that was so important to me because it was almost like the first time I started listening to Iron Maiden, and really started listening to what they were saying, like in that song "The Trooper," and how it's a history lesson.
Oh, a lot
And
of their
so
songs are like
yeah,
about old
yes,
battles
and
and stuff.
so it was kind of like that where I instantly was just drawn into it. And look, this film Chicago was really put together. I mean, really well. I you cannot say enough about its production value, man. My favorite scene was the puppeteering
That
scene.
was great. We both reached
To
for the gun.
me, yeah, to me that was tremendous. Just everything about that. I mean, when we got to that scene, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this whole thing because if they got stuff like this, somebody really put a lot of love into it, and I
I think
appreciated that.
I think that scene and the scene later in the film with Richard Gere in the courthouse defending, and it cuts between him giving his like speech in the courthouse and him tap dancing, just to show off like how showy and flashy he is. Like it's the same with the ventriloquist thing. It just shows off like what you can do with musicals and how inventive you can be with the imagery.
Yeah, yeah, and so it was, and like I said, it really just fit the film. It wasn't just like singing for singing's sake, and there was 12 songs in that movie. Okay, so I mean, it wasn't like only 4 or 5 sprinkled here and there. It was 12 of them,
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of music in this musical.
yeah, yeah, and at no time did I like feel like bored. I thought Queen Latifah really stood out in her minor role. When they show her in the wig, man, let me tell you something, man. I hadn't
Yeah,
belly laughed so hard in a long time watching the movie. It was so funny because, like, it was just great. It was great. I would definitely recommend Chicago, even if you're not into musicals, because of the craft the way it was put together.
yeah, the costumes, the set design, the direction is great. It really highlights like the fantasy element of musicals, you know.
Yeah, and again, the story was really fun to follow. And come
It's a
on,
lot darker. I bet it's a lot darker than you thought it was gonna be, right?
absolutely. And but I loved it. I loved every element of it. I loved just the character dynamics, how Roxy and Velma needed each other um, without running to be with each other.
Yeah, but they need
I
each
just
other in the end so much.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about themes that can be applied to today's celebrities when they get in
Oh
trouble
yeah,
and
these
and
girls are totally fame hungry and they don't care how they get it. They just want to be in the newspaper.
yeah, yeah, and so it's a really really brilliant musical, and I definitely would watch it again. Absolutely, I would watch it again because it was fun. It was fun and it surprised
Hmm.
me. And to quote you as you're
What did
dressed
I
right now,
say? What did I write?
you you said when you told Vilma to give him the old razzle dazzle. That
You
was
gotta
just
give him the old razzle dazzle, razzle dazzle him.
Razzle razzle them. Yeah, it was just fantastic, man. Like I said, everything, the script, everything just was so well put together. I mean,
Mm.
it's almost like they didn't need to sing the words because you could have just not sang and just read the lyrics, and it would have fit the movie. You know, it would have just. I think it was very cool. I think it was really it was genius the way that it was put together. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of musicals, but Chicago was definitely one of my favorite highlights of the film club this year, man. Can't believe I'm saying that.
I'm surprised, man. But Chicago is a fantastic musical. It's one of the greats. Originally choreographed, created by the legendary Bob Fosse. If you want another fun musical, check out Cabaret. It's about Nazis and a nightclub in 30s Germany. It's brilliant. And he directed a sort of a biographical film about a director of musicals and a choreographer called All That Jazz, starring Roy Scheider from The French Connection, which is another great film. So yeah, Cabaret and All That Jazz, if you like Chicago, all highly recommended, great musicals. What do you think, Tom? You want to check those out?
If we spin the wheel.
Nice. Yeah. Well,
No, but
unlike
no,
you,
but
I love musicals and I love Chicago. Like you said, I
hey, but
thought everything about it was so well done. The costumes, the set design, the direction,
yes.
the imaginative visuals in the musical numbers. When Renee Zellweger is alone on stage dancing with herself in front of like 50 mirrors, I thought that was just incredible
Tremendous.
way of showing just how vain and self-centered she was. It's
But
just
even more than that,
really well done.
the technicality of that scene with the
Mm.
mirrors and, I mean, placing the camera so that you don't see the reflection. I mean, and just the work it took to put that scene together.
Oh yeah.
Man, I can imagine, and I mentioned that in my review. I really was taken aback by just how much work was put into camera placements and things
Yeah.
like that. That didn't need to, because the songs and everything was a spectacle already. And
They really put the extra
so
work in.
yeah, and one thing that you mentioned, Renee, I think just I mean, I think it's one of the things that surprised me a lot. Were just how talented these actors are, man. I
Yeah.
mean, holy shit. I mean, listen, it's, actors get a lot of shit because, they're just actors and they read lines, but unless you've memorized a monologue and try to deliver it in a character,
Yeah, with emotion
it's
and reality.
it's not one of the easiest things to do. Try to just pick a 2-minute monologue and try to memorize it, and believe me, it's going to be the most fun and challenging thing you can ever do. And so
And then
these
learn a
guys,
dance routine on top of it.
no, and then do it so well. I mean,
Yes.
I know Zeta Jones had her dance background, but
Yeah.
I
She
mean
won
these
an
other.
Oscar for this as well, so
Yeah,
paid
yeah.
off.
Well deserved, man. Well
Yeah.
deserved. I think that everyone just, well deserved all the awards. And yeah, if you don't like musicals, take it from Khan. Watch Chicago with your girl, man. If you've messed up and you need to make it up to her, say, hey, I brought Chicago. Let's watch Chicago.
Yeah. Plus,
Because
Catherine Zeta-Jones in those thigh highs, man.
oh yeah, come on.
Yeah,
We're
come
talking
on.
about this girl's dancing with, I mean, why would you sit and watch Dancing with the Stars with your wife, your girlfriend? Because those outfits, man. I mean, what it's eye candy, and but they're very talented. It's just
Yeah.
it's very talented dancing. The numbers were fantastic. Yeah, it just really is a fun. It was a fun movie, man.
It's a fun film
And
about women who murder people.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the story. Definitely was very cool.
Also, I just read this on Wikipedia, and I just got to give a shout out to Rob Marshall, the director of Chicago, because I just read that he also choreographed the film as well. So not only was he in charge of the camera, he was also in charge of all the dancing as well. So the man was busy. The man was busy in this film, and
Yes, he
he did a
was. Yes,
good
he
job
was.
because the camera work and the choreography is both excellent in this. Definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, no, the whole thing, every aspect of the movie is great, and again, without the singing, it still would have worked. The film still worked, and the singing just really enhanced the film. And I, I'm not ashamed to be out in public saying, "Hey, you should watch Chicago."
And to end this segment, Con's gonna sing us out with his best rendition of Mr. Cellophane.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Mr. Cellophane, man. Oh yeah, that was a John C. Riley. Come on, I mean, let's
Yeah,
let's let's face it. I had never seen this film, so seeing him with the singing and the dancing, and again, just solidified
he
how
breaks your heart,
talented
man,
these.
singing that song. Yeah,
Oh yeah, totally. Just the way that he moves, and it does break your heart because he's such a lovable dude, and again, that's why you should watch it for all these great little things that we're mentioning. It's just not just this singing and dancing. Trust me, I would have checked out like halfway through the film.
nice. All right, well, let's get the fuck out of here, man. Come
All
on, sing
right,
it. Cellophane, Mr.
the
Cellophane.
cellophane. I forgot the lyrics. And so that leads us to our next movie, the next film, and that one is Aliens. That was our April film, and that Aliens is directed by James Cameron. It's written by James Cameron and David Giler, and it stars Sigourney Weaver, Michael Benn, Carrie Henn, and a bunch of other amazing actors that really did a fantastic job with Aliens. And it was very popular with the film club. So, Lime, what did you think of Aliens, my friend?
I really loved Aliens. For a long time, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I straight up front, I'm going to say I love Alien, the first film, the Ridley Scott Alien. It's one of my favorite films of all time, and for a long time, I looked at Aliens as like, oh, all you did is just put a load of Marines in it with guns and chucked more aliens in it and turned it into a stupid, dumb action film when it's supposed to be like, it's supposed to be a tense horror film, you know? It's
Thriller,
like,
yes, yes.
it's got more in common with like Halloween than any action film, like the first film, yeah?
True.
But rewatching it, there's a lot going on there. You know, I love the real camaraderie you feel between all of the Marines. They've got great relationships with each other, and it's established really quickly. You know, like straight out the bat, you feel like you're a part of this group. Go into this like abandoned outpost because you don't know what's going on, but the worst fucking thing in the universe is there waiting for you. So like you really feel attached to these dudes really quickly. So when the shit hits the fan, like you actually care. Unlike a lot of other films where people get killed off one by one, you're like, I don't care about that guy. Who gives a fuck? Like when these people die, you're like, oh shit, Hicks or whoever. I can't remember these people's names. I don't know which one dies, Hicks or Hudson. One of them lives, one of them dies. I can't remember which one's which. Although to be fair, at the start of the film, excuse me, they're you know, classic cliche angry black police chief army sergeant dude. He can't tell them apart either. He's like, which the fucking guy's Hicks, which one's Hudson? I don't know the two of you apart. I don't know the two of them apart either. So it's not just me. But yeah,
I know it. And you weren't in the film.
I wasn't even in the film. But yeah, it's a real different relationship they have to the crew from the first film. Like in the first film, those guys are like, they're miners, you know, they're basically space truckers, you know, and they haven't been through life and death situations before, but these guys, you can tell they've been through a lot of shit together. And yeah, I think that really helps, like, make you care about them and invest you in the film, you know?
No, I personally thought it also was really amazing storytelling, and I love Alien because of just like you said, just how spooky, and it really plays like a slasher. And this one,
It's one of the best slasher films ever made.
yeah, and Aliens, I was going to give it a chance no matter what. You know, it was right up my alley. So I really enjoyed all the new, the characters, the ensemble. Like you said, they were all great at conveying those characters. They all brought something to their roles, and it's really, for me, I think that what really captured me about it was just the sense of despair.
Yeah.
Even amongst, even if you were in a group, they say, you're in your group, you're safer, but it was like, I never felt like it was safe for any of them. And
Oh, totally. Once they actually get to the facility and they see how fucked up it is, you can tell that they're sort of on edge, and that puts you on edge.
yeah, and one of the things that I really enjoyed about that month, Aliens being featured, was how the Lady A, she really, you know, explained the difference between the director's version and the theatrical versions, and
Mm.
the things that they had, the things that they had changed in or added. And I never knew that it was such an extensive, you know, alteration to the film.
Yeah. Because you get
One of the
more with
scenes,
Ripley at the start, right? When she learns
right?
more about her family, yeah? Her daughter, yeah?
Yes, yes, her daughter, yeah, and that was something that I had never seen before. I wasn't even aware that that was had been added to the film. So when I saw it this time, I said, "Wow, that really added so much to that scene for me that
Yeah.
I was even more invested in Ripley's survival."
Yeah.
And although, yeah,
Well,
at
the
the same
whole
time,
motivation for the first film, sorry, but just to
yeah,
add to that point, in the first film, the whole motivation for her survival against the alien was to get back home to see her daughter again, who was like 5 or 6 at the time. So when she sees that picture of her daughter as an old woman, and she's like, "Oh yeah, she died like 5 years ago," like you can totally see it in her face. She's like, "Oh, I have nothing to live for anymore." So when she
yeah, and
meets Newt in the facility, you really like want them to like survive together because she needs a daughter and Newt needs a mother, you know?
totally, it's like, yeah, it was like a perfect fit. And also when it gives some credibility to her going back to even want
Mm.
to face this thing again,
Because you would
because
say,
that's
why
one of
would you
the,
go back? That's stupid.
of
Because
course,
she's got
especially when
nothing
you
to live for.
know
Her daughter's gone.
she
Her
tells
daughter
these
grew up
guys,
to an old woman and died, and she wasn't even around for any of it, you
yeah,
know?
and she knows the alien is got, like, she tells him he's, this it's blood, it's acid, and all these
Mm.
things. And so if you're not if you don't get that scene of her seeing her daughter, older, you you don't certainly buy her motivation to
Yeah.
go back to face these things for these guys. She wasn't interested in money, because why would she have got angry when it was all about the corporate greed, when she
Yeah.
discovered that that's the reason why the mission was there in the first place. If it was about money, she just would have said, "Hey, I'm gonna need a bigger bonus for taking this job, or this
Yeah.
consultant job." So yeah, I think that really added some,
Yeah.
and really enriched that her motivation, and
It
like you
also
said, yeah, she had
added
nothing to lose.
it also added to the final scene when she confronts the alien queen, because it's a mother against a mother at the end of the film. And the alien, it took her daughter away from her. So she's like, fuck it, I'm taking all your kids away from you. Fuck you. Get away from her, you bitch. Which is one of the best lines in film history.
Oh, it's delivered. It's how she delivers that line.
She is so pissed
It's
off.
it's timeless, man. It really is. I mean, it's just a simple line, and I know that it sounds like we're over, just waxing poetic and just overdoing it, but no, it's that the way she says that, you really feel it, man.
You totally
And
buy it.
absolutely, absolutely, and no, and I love that whole scene with the queen, um, and I love that it shows the alien intelligence by her understanding. Hey, if you hurt
Yeah.
this little girl, I am gonna burn your fucking eggs, and I'm gonna
And the
crisp them.
queen knows.
And
The queen
yeah,
knows.
totally, and
Yeah.
and she tries to protect her young, and I like that whole motherly instinct element,
Yeah.
because
Because
nature, it's
despite
all
all
over
of the
nature.
like male testosterone, the film is about motherly instinct, you know?
Yeah, and listen, just because we live in a society where the
We
men
live
are
in a
supposed to be men,
society.
where men aren't supposed to show the soft side, and that's
Mm.
why things like that capture us in film because
Yeah.
for me it was really a satisfying watch. I mean everything, just the effects, the all the audio, the sound. I think it was
Oh,
just a
the design
perfect,
is incredible.
yeah, just
It's
perfect. I mean, it was
classic sci-fi design.
perfectly just put together. And I mean, how many lines, quotable lines in that film? I mean,
Oh my god. Game over, man.
it's
Game over.
yeah. I mean, we're on an express elevator to hell going down. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just everything about it. You're ready to go.
Like every scene has a
You
line like that, you know?
yeah. You may hate one character, but you're
It's
gonna
because I
love
blew
another
it out
one.
of the goddamn airlocks.
So yeah, I mean, Aliens again, another classic. Even if you're not into space thriller or space monsters,
Mm.
like I said, the human element of that
It's
film
more than
is
that,
just
you
is
know?
worth watching.
Like you said, the
Yeah,
human
totally.
element of that film is at the forefront throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, and it's great. It's just a really, it's paced fantastically, and
Yeah.
it's always moving forward. And I don't think there was anything that the actors or the characters did that bothered me to the point where I was like, oh, I can't believe this. It was just everything just fit. I enjoyed it. I would watch it again
Oh,
any
totally.
time.
I
Yeah.
will watch it again many times throughout the rest of my life. I just already know that. Because I've already watched it a bunch of times.
So I hadn't watched it in a while, and so I was very happy that Aliens, had
Mm.
had had won that spin that time
Yeah.
for sure.
Also, it's a sequel that does pretty much everything differently from the previous film, which I applaud. It's what you should do with a sequel, really. You don't want to do like the Hangover thing where like the second and the third film are basically remakes of the first film, you know?
No, no, it certainly certainly Aliens adds to the Alien lore, and it really is. It's a perfect sequel, and I definitely recommend it, man. Anytime I come across anyone who talks about space films, I'm like Aliens. You have to watch Aliens if you haven't watched it. It's just a fun ride, man. The whole thing.
Yep. It's full of tension, action, heart, emotion, you know? It's got a cute little kid that isn't a bad actor, which is, always nice to see.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. No, it just works. Cameron did a great job, man.
Mm.
It's one of the most loved films in the Alien trilogy, and rightfully so, man.
It's rated.
Because
There's like 7 of those fucking films now.
yeah, yeah.
2 good ones.
Some of them weren't so great, but we're not gonna talk about those right now.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so watch Aliens, everyone, because
Definitely.
it's really real fun. And come on, Space Marines, come on, you can't fuck with that, man.
You can't fuck with the Space Marines.
You can't beat that.